I managed the First Nations and Indigenous lands training program where land managers came from all over Canada to learn about the management of lands. And so that was a really great experience. There'll be a 20-year, it'll be coming up 20 years, can you believe it, in a couple years? And so the certificate program was renamed in, I think, 2000, could have been 15 and 16. And so we went from the Indigenous People Resource Management Program to the Kanawetitana Ski certificate. So we started to introduce the language, our language, and so let us take care of the land. And so that's the certificate program at the University of Saskatchewan. In the last few years, since 2022, my role has shifted a little bit, and for me, I am very grateful for this new opportunity, I will say. And so in 2022, there was the desire to revitalize an existing center, and the center at that time was called the Indigenous Land Management Institute within the University of Saskatchewan. And so there was a knock knock. Are you interested, or would you be interested in taking a look at revitalizing this center? And at this time I said, yeah, for sure. And so, again, very grateful. And so this is the way usually I find myself in these situations. I'll say, and so, okay, here it is. Here you go. And it's, you create that, you're responsible for creating that roadmap of what, how things should unfold. And so the other individual that I have to mention in all of this is Dr. Melissa Arkan, and so she's Nehe as well. She's from the Musqueam Cree Nation, and so she was also brought in as one of the organizers, and at this moment she's the academic lead for the center. And so where we started was, we felt that it was vitally important and critically important that it should be Indigenous peoples that should determine what an Indigenous land center should look like within the University of Saskatchewan. So that's where we started. And so Indigenous voices being what led us to where we are today. And so where we started was, we struck a steering committee of Indigenous peoples from different organizations on a national and a provincial basis. And so for about a year, we met probably just about every month. And this is where I met Jolie, and Jolie's amazing. And so she joined our steering committee. So we had this steering committee, and we met every month for about a year. And we grappled with what should the name be, what should the vision be, and so we grappled. And a little bit into our journey, Elder Joseph Naitawahau joined us, and this was really important, and I think really important for us as we develop. And so I remember him coming in and him talking about language. And he's looking at some of the, I think, names we had on the big screen, and he flagged with us right away, the language is missing. There's no color here. And so he thankfully supported us, and bringing in the language. And so what you see on the screen is the name that he gifted to us. So Kichiokawimawa Ski Knowledge Center. So the Great Mother Earth Knowledge Center. And so as soon as we stopped talking about land this, land that, and we moved to Kichiokawimawa Ski, it changed everything. Everything made sense. So in that language, Kichiukawe Mawaski, learning about our relationship to Mother Earth, to one another, that became the focal point of what was really important to us. So the other thing that, when we look at the name, if they can maybe just scroll up a little bit. So we landed on a name, and so we also developed a vision statement that's in Nehewewin, can't really see it, and so our vision statement is Kichiukawe Mawaski, Pamatswin Kasunamake, Papakwes, Kamanachiaya. So it's focusing on Mother Earth, and we have a responsibility to respect her. The other thing that we worked on was, and we all hear land acknowledgements, I think, in different ways. And so, as a center, we were gifted a land acknowledgement from Leo Yakakut. He's from Beardies. And so our land acknowledgement focused on honoring Mother Earth. And so it's there in front of you. So now I'll talk just a little bit about Buffalo, Pascual Hostos. And so what I will say is that in this journey, in this Buffalo journey, I'll say that I'm relatively new to this journey. It started a couple of years ago with an invitation from Tasha to join a Buffalo gathering, actually, that was happening in Edmonton. And so Dr. Melissa Arcand and I, we went and we journeyed there. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I will say it was life-changing, and really journeying there. We went out and we visited the Buffalo Ribstone, and we sat with a knowledge keeper from that area, and we learned stories. We learned the teachings from those particular areas. And then we spent time with Dr. Leroy Littlebear, and he told a story about why the Buffalo Treaty was important, and that the elders were talking about in our songs, in our ceremony, in our language are the buffalo. And so in the film, you might have seen Dr. Leroy Littlebear speaking about that, and then saying, where are the buffalo? It's time to bring the buffalo home. And so after that gathering, I thought, how can we work and focus on the land without bringing in and focusing as well on the Pascual and learning about that side of who we are? And so I know time is limited, but what I wanted to say was, after learning that history about the buffalo, about the genocide of the buffalo, the damage to the relationship between us as Indigenous peoples, to the buffalo, to the land, I really had to ask myself at that point, why am I just learning about this now? This is so important. And I remember thinking about that, and I truly felt a sense of loss, a real grief for myself, wondering, why am I only learning about this? So fast forwarding to now, in our work as a center, we're incorporating workshops, including concepts of buffalo, conversations about the buffalo. We signed on to the Buffalo Treaty as a center. We recently had a 2nd-year anniversary, and of course with the blessing and guidance from those that support us, and Elder Joseph and Elder Julie, we purchased a buffalo robe that we welcomed in a good way, welcomed through ceremony. And at our 2nd year anniversary, if you can imagine, I'm not quite sure how many of you might be familiar with the USask or the College of Agriculture building, but there we were in that atrium, big glass building, and we had a gathering with our steering committee and our partners, you know, saying a big thank you to them. And in the middle of this, we had our buffalo robe there. And there were songs, Elder Joseph led some stories. And so when I think about this as well, I will also say in that space and what we were doing, this is reconciliation in action. And so we're not only learning, but we're helping non-Indigenous peoples as well to learn about that history and stepping in as well and reminding that the buffalo didn't just disappear, because you hear that at different tables, you hear that at different in different could be books, and we're reminding they didn't just decide to go away. There was this very purposeful and intentional genocide of the buffalo, and so that history is really important. Learning about that history, learning in our language as well about the buffalo is really important. So thank you very much for your time, and that's a little bit about myself and the beginning of that buffalo journey that I'm on, so thank you.
What we wanted to accomplish on this panel was just to show that there are so many people out there who are involved in buffalo work in many different ways. Tasha, of course, concentrates on film. Jolie is really involved in the arts. Candace is really involved in the university setting. SICC, we're involved in repatriation and bringing ceremonies back to the land, and I really want to thank Elder William and Betty for leading that with us. But if I think about summing up our time together, the buffalo is our teacher, provider, and kin. Losing our languages would mean a rupture in this significant relationship in song, ceremony, and worldview. Restoring buffalo herds is an environmental act, but also linguistic and spiritual revival that works towards self-determination. As you can see, much work has been done, but there is also much work still to do, and you, everyone in this room, is invited to join in on that journey. Please give a hand to our panelists.
I didn't look in there.
Okay, thank you very much to our afternoon plenary session panelists, Tasha Hubbard, Jolie Big Eagle, and Candace P. Cardoso, and thank you to Melody Wood for moderating that for us this afternoon. It was brought to my attention that there has been a shopping bag that has been returned to me. There was a black plastic bag that was left in the ladies' washroom, and it was full of very expensive purchases. So if you can identify what that is, I do have it upstairs, or sorry, up at the front here. So it was in a black plastic bag and it was left in the ladies' washroom. So I do have that with me. All right, next up, I would like to welcome to the stage our president of SICC.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. How was your day with us? Well, I'm going to tell you something. My day with you was sensational. I want to thank you so much. You know, when we were planning this event out, I said it this morning, we do it with a lot of heart, and we put our heart into this, and what we got back was you. And what we got back was this room full of committed language champions and advocates and community members, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Today went so wonderfully. In the morning we started in a good way with Commissioner Inglis and his wonderful words, and then we got on to more words of wisdom from the elders panel. Weren't they sensational? They were great, weren't they? And then we made you wait for a little bit for lunch, but it was worth the wait because that chicken, man, that was good. It was very good. And then at 1 o'clock came the workshops. Thank you for all that went to the workshops. Every single one of the workshops that were attended, well received, and the presenters were just thrilled. So thank you very much. And of course, our last group here, all around the buffalo and the land and the words of wisdom and how that connects with language and our culture. So powerful. Thank you so much. We're so thrilled. So what we had is that we had a little gift that we wanted to hand out for early registration. And so it is it's a little iPad. And is there an Anna Prosper? Are you around? Can you come on up? To get her a present. Last year somebody said when we were doing the gifts that we should have done something like a vehicle. And I thought, that may be out of the budget. But maybe it's not out of the budget if it's this kind of vehicle. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give you this little vehicle on behalf of SICC as well for her registration. So thank you very much. Okay, so before we end that, Angela, we got some more gifts we want to do, right? Okay, so come on up. There we go. Oh, there you are. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to you. You go ahead.
How about a big round of applause for our president, Darlene Brennan. Thank you very much. And props to the organization. If you look at the presenters that they had today, where they come from, their background, their knowledge, their education, and to bring them all together for this day sure made for a special day. So we want to say thank you for that. I've got a list here. So apparently, of all the registrations, so anybody that registered for the conference, they had a database with a spinning wheel. We have 5 gifts to give away or 5 draws to make. I've got a list of 20 names. You need to be present to claim your prize. So if I call a name and they're not here, we'll move on to the next name and so on and so forth. The 5th prize is going to be the iPad. So just to let you know that.